And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday evening. We know we had a bit of an off week last week, but it is back. It is RTA Virtual Motorsport, your favourite Tuesday night series. We're live here at Donington Park on Gantry TV, and a big good evening to you. We have a new car, we have some new drivers, some returning faces. We have a returning commentator alongside me as well, but we've got a fabulous championship coming up for you. My name is Evan Dalton. It's Ronan Hederman, as always, behind the scenes here on Gantry TV. And the man alongside me is the fantastic Kieran McGinley. Kieran, we are here at a track which you probably know a little bit better than me, at Donington Park. One thing we both know is this is going to be a fabulous championship, and we know all about how much havoc rain can cause.
Oh, absolutely. This being the first championship here at the RTA to experience rain. And some drivers have been looking forward to this, other drivers have been dreading this. One thing's for sure is that everybody has got their wish. Rain is happening, and it's a deluge of rain, which I'm advised is only going to get worse over the night. So if everybody could collectively rub their hands together, this should be a very interesting one. I believe we have 32 drivers entered into this series. So, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens, really. But I'm thoroughly looking forward to a dawn of a brand new season.
Yes, I cannot wait for this one. This one should be really intriguing. You can see just from on your screens at the minute in practice, that's probably not a good omen to what's to come, but the rain is very heavy. We're being told from practice you can't even go near the grass or the curbs at all. There's no just cutting the edge of the curb. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic one here this evening. We had a fantastic season last season as well, of course, where Jordan Kelly took the championship in the TH Jordan GT4 Cup. He took it in star-studded fashion, really, Kieran, and I think he's going to look to attempt to go back-to-back.
Oh, how can you not attempt it, at least? Whoa, there's Conor Melia going off into the gravel there. Best time to do it is in these practice sessions. But yes, obviously puts himself on this wall of champions there, Jordan Kelly. He puts himself right at the top of the standings on GT4. So that's his spot forever now. And of course, if you have a chance to run the number one, for most drivers, 99% of drivers, you're going to run the number one, surely. And tell everybody, oh yeah, do you remember last season? Yeah, do you remember how I won it? Yeah, I want to do the same this year.
Yes, Jordan is a man who's used to winning, I suppose. He took 12 wins last season in the GT4 Cup. He is now technically a four-time RTA champion. He won Season 1 and Season 3 in the V's, the car he knows and love. He won Season 2 and F3, and then, of course, he won the GT4 Cup. You can see here on our wall of champions, there's some fabulous names here, Kieran, and one thing that will trend in the right direction with this graphic and with the timing tower is a lot of similar names. We've a lot of great drivers for this championship. We don't really know what way it's going to go, in all honesty.
No, really. I mean, in terms of open wheelers, you've got Jason Cooper. Jordan Kelly's already won a Formula 3 title. Ronan Doherty as well. You've got Jordan Kelly in the Formula V's, Brian McManus, et al. So, yeah, in terms of open wheel expertise, we are very much not in short order this time around. And across the 8 events, I'm looking forward to seeing who can come out on top over the long haul. Is this going to be another Jordan Kelly domination? Gut instinct tells me no.
Yeah, especially if it stays sort of similar conditions to how it is right now out on the circuit. It's a downpour at this Donington Park circuit, located in the United Kingdom. Of course, if there was any viewers from the United Kingdom watching, I should say, they'll be used to what is showing this rain. And of course, myself and Ronan from Ireland as well. It's not like we have it any better. But this Donington Park circuit, located near Castle Donington in Leicestershire, England, it is at the southwest of Nottingham and southeast of Derby. A prime location for motorsport and the birth of motorsport, I suppose, in the United Kingdom. A bit of a fun fact, this was the first permanent park circuit in England. A lot of people think it was Silverstone. It was Donington, so it's a track with a lot of history.
Parks going. a little bit off course there without a front wing as well. But yes, Donington, a fantastic circuit which hosts, going into this as an FIA Grade 2 circuit, the World Superbikes, the British Superbikes, the British Touring Cars, British GT and F3, and lots of historic national racing as well. And of course, used to host, I think, the 1993 European Grand Prix in the Formula One season, which of course saw Ayrton Senna really show what he was worth in those treacherous conditions. I believe it was the birthplace of the Lap of the Gods here in Donington, so that holds a special place in Formula One hearts all over the world. Qualifying, though, has just begun, and as there's a deluge of cars out on track to tackle the deluge of water, it's our first wet qualifying here on RTA. I'm thoroughly excited to see who's going to be our wet weather warriors.
Yes, absolutely. And with an Ayrton Senna reference on anything Irish motorsport related, I am, of course, obliged to remind you that he did, in fact, race in Mondello Park in the Leinster Trophy. Right, that's that out of the way. But in terms of this wet weather, it's not an easy thing to jump into. Usually at the start of a season, you might rather, I'll just have a steady qualifying session or a race session. Just get myself used to the car, get myself used to the track. Nope, we are jumping in at the deep end, no pun intended, here at Donington Park in a bit of a different car. It's certainly different to a GT4 car. It's the brand new Dallara 324 from the Super Formula Lights Championship, which is, of course, the final step before Super Formula, which, if you're not sure what Super Formula is, it is the pinnacle of Japanese single-seater racing. Sort of think of it as an Indy car for Japan. That is what Super Formula is. Historically, the chassis for these cars has been based off Formula 3 spec regulations, I believe, but the series will feature Dallara's latest addition to what they describe themselves as one of the most impressive portfolios of open-wheel cars in racing history. Well, we'll be the judge of that one, as qualifying, the first couple of laps just getting underway now, Kieran.
Yes, absolutely, and we're heading now down towards the first corner, and of course, it being an old school track down a red gate, all the corners have names, which is always great. As we ride on board here, going through in towards Hollywood here with a deluge of spray as we head through the Craner curves and now into the braking zone at the old hairpin. Always a tricky one to get right there. A little bit of a bite of oversteer as the car tried to turn in as we head our way through in towards Starkey's Bridge and on towards the Schwanz curve. We're now going uphill in towards McLean's now. This right-hander, which is kind of a blind apex. Once you turn into it, you've got to commit. Back on the power we go. And another blind apex of Coppice. You have to do your braking and turning before you can see the crest. And you've got to hope that the curve and the apex is where you expect it to be. Down Starkey Straight then, as we'll head away now down towards the Fogarty S's. A quick left-right here, which really challenges and really tempts you to try and grab as much speed as here through as possible. And as we had to handle that, it's a short run down towards the Melbourne hairpin, which is going to be one of the biggest overtaking opportunities. A very heavy braking zone down in towards the hairpin. Then we'll get back on the power, watch the oversteer on the exit as the car will start to bite you. As then you head your way over the crest, you'll descent down in towards Goddard's. You have to really release that brake as you start to go downhill whilst you're heavy braking, but then back on the power and across the start finish line over the Wheatcroft Straight, and that is a lap of Donington Park.
Yes, a great lap. Indeed, a great run through as well there, Kieran, of what these drivers are facing, as there is someone off to the left-hand side. That's the number 24 car. You're going to see a lot of that today, I think. You're going to see a lot of cars parked on the grass. And look, I'm not going to slander them because I'd be the exact same. But after 4 minutes of the 15 in qualifying, it's currently Rory O'Shea at top, and that's another car just going off there. That is the number 3. Don't worry, we will get used to deliveries at some point, folks. That's another discussion we'll have later on. If you want to give comments on any of the deliveries, remember, of course, you can. You just got to subscribe to Gantry TV, and you can participate in any of our stream chats that are currently running. So 4 minutes and 30 gone in qualifying. Still Rory O'Shea at the top. In terms of practice, it was Jordan Kelly who's quickest. But what we saw, I suppose, from the Formula Ford 1600 Championship was qualifying kind of matters not really in these. Obviously, that's something we don't like to usually say because qualifying very important and you have to take your pole position. But if you don't get pole, especially in conditions like this, Kieran, it's not usually the end of the world.
No, and I can assume that this is going to be a bit of a hectic season with rain thrown into the midst as drivers start to have to adjust on iRacing to wet weather driving. So it would probably be a better term for it. In any case, drivers are going to have to adapt quickly to this, and also in racecraft scenarios, we haven't really seen what it's like with the spray up in drivers' faces. It's not going to be an issue if you're starting on the front 2 rows as such, but if you're in that midfield pack, that spray is going to be a real issue. I'm sure these drivers would have put the hours in racecraft scenarios. Some of them might have gone into the mid-pack there to just experience what the spray is like. So expect maybe a few more drivers to go cautious into turn 1, but on the flip side, you're going to see drivers go aggressive into turn 1 because they know that there's going to be this sort of, not necessarily sort of lenience, but they're going to be a bit more careful because there's less grip, there's more spray, less visibility, and of course in the cockpit of these cars, there's not a lot of visibility in the first place. You had a bunch of spray in there, it just worsens it.
Yeah, of course, if you're new to iRacing, these guys will all be running the cockpit cameras. It's not like sort of your Formula 1 sim racing where you can run whatever you like. You are mandated to drive like a real racer, I suppose, as Ronan Hederman in the background showing you perfectly on cue. This is the exact view of the drivers. You can see here, as Kieran was alluding to, there's not an awful lot of visibility. If you chuck a load of spray in front of that, you're kind of nitpicking for where you can look, as Jason Smith goes top of the times for now.
Yeah, just more on this view as well, because obviously these Super Formula cars have the halo, but it is an option if you've never raced in iRacing before to actually have that middle part of the halo, so the part that goes across the middle of the screen, i.e. obscuring your view, to make that invisible. Now, that's to try and add the 3D element, because iRacing is trying to replicate what you see in 3D, but on a 2D screen. And what that means is that there's this big pillar in the way, which you actually look past, and you can't actually see when you're in the cockpit in one of these cars in motorsport. So you can actually phase out that middle part of the screen so that you get a better idea of what you actually would be able to see in these cars.
Yeah, brilliant insight there, Kieran. I didn't actually know that, so that's I suppose it's a good assistance to the drivers. I imagine a lot of the races here this evening will avail of that, because, quote me wrong, as to my knowledge, no one who really does real racing in RTA, I don't think they drive with halos just yet, so I could be wrong in that aspect, but certainly they wouldn't be used to it. So, and I suppose even you sometimes see the drivers who do drive with halo in real life, once they go into a sim, they kind of turn it off as well, because as you were saying, it's a 3D element on a 2D screen, supposedly. But Jordan Kelly does beat Jason Smith to go to the top of the order. Jordan has been fantastic in previous seasons to provide us with some hot laps. The good news is he's doing that again. So we're going to go to Jordan Kelly, who has a Donington Park hot lap available. And Kieran did such a fantastic job of it the first time. I'm going to hand it back over to him to do it all again.
Right then, so riding on board with our reigning champion in the GT4s, Jordan Kelly, as he tackles through Redgate, then it's basically down the hill we go, up through the gears, and you can already see that little bit of spray from the car ahead as the car really starts to get underneath you through the Craner curves and down in towards the old hairpin, which really isn't a hairpin anymore. You fly through that right-hander, through Starkey's Bridge now, or at least under it, as then you'll start to climb through the Schwantz curve as the car trying to really release itself from Jordan Kelly's clutch. In towards McLean's we go then, slight uphill corner, and then you'll face the absolute rise here of McLean's, and once again it's a blind apex here until you really start to turn in, so you've got to hope you've got your turning point absolutely spot on. Short run then down towards Coppice we will go, and again quite a heavy right-hander. Down the Starkey Straight we get to the Fogarty S's, a heavy braking zone, and trying to carry as much speed through there as possible. Nicely done by Jordan Kelly. A short run then down towards the Melbourne hairpin. This is going to be a huge overtaking opportunity for drivers to see if they can find a move down the inside. You'll get back onto the power then, out of first gear to just make sure you get the turn in, especially in these slippery conditions. And then we head down towards Goddard's here, where you start on a level surface on braking, then you start to go downhill. So it's a very easy scenario to catch a front brake and lock it. But that's a lap then down the Wheatcroft straight with our reigning GT4 champion, Jordan Kelly.
Yeah, great lap there from Jordan. He's replicated that one to go top of the order so far. We have 10 minutes out of the 15 done here in qualifying. It's currently Jordan Kelly ahead of Jason Smith and Rory O'Shea. Those three names you'll be familiar with if you're a regular RTA viewer. Then it's Dylan McClements in fourth. Then it is Dr. Naveed Hussain in fifth, who's returning for this season here in the Super Formula Lights. Alexander Milchin in sixth, who had an impressive season last season. Although that sixth place just seemed to be his spot of choice. Didn't finish above sixth in a race last season, but he did finish fifth in the championship. Potentially my favourite stat of all time. Then it's Sean McGoldrick in seventh, Brian McManus in eighth, Sean McClemens in ninth, and Ronan Doherty in 10th. Another returning man, Nigel O'Brien in 11th, with Conor Melia in 12th, and it is DeSalzwa, Stack, and Jason Lingard in 15th. So it's the same sort of names in the top 15, but maybe a slightly different order.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to throw up a little bit on the cards, isn't it? We'll see, but Jordan Kelly's still at the top, and yeah, as you said there, Jason Smith rounding off the front row. But these lap times are chopping and changing faster than we can really get underneath. Lots of green times all across, so that's personal bests being set lap after lap, and really the only way in these wet weather conditions of getting through the lap times and improving them, unlike the dry weather scenario where you've got probably 1 or 2 laps on a set of tyres, then you'll have to change them. In wet weather conditions, really the more laps you run, the better chance you have of getting into the groove and actually giving yourself a best opportunity to get a lap time underneath there, as we see a lovely late 90s Jordan livery there, sort of buzzing Hornets livery, making our way down towards the chicane.
Yeah, you're sort of playing into the hands of hold that thought there. Round goes the Jordan livery. Yes, that is a spin, and that's another one right behind him, heading through the S's section of turn number 9. Well, the S's section, it's the chicane, but it's called the S's, or at least it is on a my track map. Very difficult part of the track. That left and right could catch a couple of drivers out here in the rain, but really anywhere could catch you out in the rain so far. Usual format, of course, for the races this evening, folks. We'll have 3 rounds, as you can see on your screen. So it's a 15-minute qualifying. Then it is the 10-minute race, grid set by qualifying. Race 2, 15 minutes. Grid set by race 1. Race 3, 20 minutes. Reverse top 8 from race 2. And then you have your drive-through penalty at 15x and a DSQ at 20x. The reason I've started talking about this, Kieran, is because I'm kind of going to get everyone excited. Imagine this, but it's a reverse grid.
I mean, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
If my Alexander Milchin statistic lives on from this evening, then something has really gone wrong, because it could be very chaotic, and I can see drivers like Alex, who would usually be very steady, to pick up sort of maybe, I wouldn't say a surprise result, but an unusual result.
Yeah, that's probably a fair way to put it. But, I mean, if you look, Alexander Milchin, the only thing that was missing from his order was a podium, and he was very consistent last season in sort of picking up those points. He's currently 7th fastest in this qualifying session as Brian McCarthy now moves up into the top 15. He's definitely one to watch. He always manages to pick up those points when others around seem to kind of falter, as he's running the Potato Nation livery here this season. Great liveries to be discussed and seen out there. A couple of tribute F1 liveries as well. Loris Desosva, of course, running his own branding in this series, and it's great to see a Guinness livery, of course. Was there any doubt that there was going to be a Guinness livery?
Yeah, it's an Irish iRacing series. You're kind of going to get that. I'm surprised we don't have Mr. Tato going around the track somewhere as well. But we do have the We do have the Guinness livery, and we have some fabulous liveries that we will be talking about for the duration of the evening. But with a minute to go in qualifying, Jordan Kelly has just gone quicker at the top of the order. It was purple for him. He currently has a 129.905. That is just about a tenth of a second quicker than Jason Smith, who just improves himself, but it's not by nearly enough. He's now about half a tenth of a second behind. Rory O'Shea currently in third, Dylan McClements in the pit lane in fourth, and it is Naveed Hussain in fifth position in the 007 car. He'll be on a mission to try and take a podium at some point this evening. But with 10 seconds to go, no real fast laps coming in. It's looking like we've just carried on from the GT4 Cup here, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just new to the RTA series, what a series you've joined us with. This qualifying is not like other qualifying sessions where the timer expires and you get to finish your lap. No, this is it. That's it. Once the 15 minutes are up, that is it. The qualifying moves on and we move on to the race. So it's imperative you get those lap times in before time expires. And that's why most of the top guys, once they hit that minute to go, they stopped qualifying. And that's the reason why. But Jordan Kelly, though, on top, and looking to continue from where he left off last season.
Yes, he is. Remember, Jordan Kelly, well, not just Jordan Kelly, but anyone who took pole for the first race last season went on to win the opening race. It certainly wasn't the same in the last single-seater series in the Formula Ford 1600s, but it's Kelly ahead of Smith, O'Shea, McClements and Hussain. Then it is Alexander Milchan in sixth ahead of Brian McManus in seventh. Great qualifying from Brian to beat one of the top single-seater stars and the champion of the Formula 1600 Championship, Ronan Doherty. Then Sean McGoldrick, Peter McCann, Sean McClements, ahead of Wayne Douglas, Nigel O'Brien, Jason Lingard and Tony Stack in 15th.
Yeah, Brian McCarthy then in 16th place with Conor Melia in 17th place. And then rounding off the top 18 there is Kevin Joyce. And then 19th place is Lawrence de Sosva. 20th place is Kanto Chukwu. Did I nail it? I probably didn't nail it. Colin O'Regan in 21st place, Wing-Fei Chad in 22nd, Jamal Gandor in 23rd, Philip Upson 24th, Gary Corcoran in 25th place with David Prunty in 26th, Rob Parks in 27th place with Peter Duke in 28th, Andrew Murphy in 29th, Aaron Dalton rounds off our top 30.
Yes, and it is Finley, Melvin, Gerard Thornton, Stuart Brereton, and Evan Watt is on the timing screen, but he is not participating this evening. So we've got a great race coming up for you. We're going to head to the grid live now for a wet and windy evening here at Donington Park. It's the full Grand Prix circuit that we're running, the 4.020 kilometre or 2.498 miles, 11 corners, and it is bound to be a good one. Here's to new beginnings. It's the return of RTA Virtual Motorsport as we go racing for the Super Formula Lights Championship at Donington Park. There's already 3 cars off in the background. There's already a car spinning into the wall as we head in towards the first corner. Jordan Kelly gets away well. I can't say the same for everybody else.
Well, we know for one thing, Jordan Kelly leading the way from Jason Smith and Rory O'Shea, and that is quite a standing shuffle down the lower half of the grid. Did anyone make it through by those standing shuffles? Either way, we have got drivers who have made it through. Oh, there's big contact there, and one of the Ireland livery cars off the road, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more extensive damage there. That looked like Chukwu involved in that one. And Jordan Kelly, though, trying to pick up where he left off from last season. Jason Smith in second place, Rory O'Shea in third. In all of that, Alexander Milchan is up to fourth.
Yeah, great start from Milchan. Let's have a look at the Gantry TV instant replay then. And my God, this wasn't a slow starter here in the opening heat. We're on the grid. That's de Soswa there. That is Jamal Gandor. Someone got all on the grass under their own accord. Oh no, there up goes an orange car. Around goes de Soswa. That is Finley Melvin involved somewhere there in the old retro Renault livery. Then the orange and black car just popped up in the air. Colin O'Regan involved in that one. Not an ideal start to the season, some would say, but a bit disappointing there. And we're going to have another look at this one. Oh, Finley Melvin just T-boning into the side of someone. It was a bit of a car park ahead of turn number 1. And unfortunately, once one guy got out of shape there, that was everybody into the side of him. But we start the second lap here. Jason Smith looking to try and get past Jordan Kelly. As a little bit earlier around the lap, that's Dylan McClements who's been spun round. That is Dylan McClements, and that is going to be someone just parked up right into the side of him. Young Dylan, unfortunately, has not started the season the way he ended the last one, and there's another car around there as well. Kieran, I know we said it would be chaotic, but this is even a little bit much for us.
It's powerboat racing, isn't it? It's absolute chaos out there if you're in the lower half of the order. And Dylan McClements there, that looked like going in towards Goddard's there. He just went for a move and saw that the door was closing and had to lock everything up just to avoid any contact there, and then tried to put the power down on some wet grass. And these tyres just do not grip on there, as Rory O'Shea finds a way past Rowan Doherty. In fact, that's Jason Smith who's off. He's off at Coppice there on the gravel and is falling down the order, and I'm assuming he's just trying to find a way back onto the track. But that's Jason Smith, who was running in second place at the time. Let's have a look and see what happened here. This is going through in towards Coppice, and the back end just drops on him. He loses that one, and whether that was a case of taking too much speed through there, and you see he's trying to spin up the rear tyres to rejoin, but has to keep backing off because there's still drivers powering their way through. That's a huge amount of time lost there for Jason Smith.
Yeah, it's not the first time Jason Smith has visited the beach on the exit of Coppice. If you cast your eyes back to the Formula Ford 1600, had a bit of an incident with Jason Cooper there. I believe it was at the end of one of the heat races. So it's not the first time he's visited there, but potentially the first time he's visited under his own accord. Certainly so far this evening. There's Sean McGoldrick looking to work up places from 16th position. The whole grid has been shuffled since that incident at the start. It's currently Kelly, O'Shea, Doherty, Milchin, McClements. Sean McClements, that is, in the top 5. And you can see here he's under big, or Sean McClements, I should say, is putting Alexander Milchin under big pressure in front. We are almost 4 minutes into it. As here comes Sean McClements, going to try hook it round the outside, heading up towards Starkey's Bridge. This is a very brave move from Sean McClements. If he wants to pull it off in these wet conditions, it's going to be last of the late breakers. Is Milchin brave enough around the outside? He is not. Great move from Sean McClements. Little bit of a rear sliding on the exit of the corner, but he's got the job done. Probably one of the first clean overtakes we've seen here this evening, but a stunning job by Sean nonetheless.
Brilliant stuff from Sean McClements, but something tells me Alexander Milchin is not done with this though. He moves to the right-hand side as we head down towards the Fogarty S. It's not really an overtaking opportunity at the best of times, let alone when there's this rain falling on the track. But we now make our way down towards the Melbourne hairpin, and we'll see what happens there. Conor Melia, meanwhile, is trying to put some pressure under Naveed Hussain. Wingfei Chan looking to try and find a way past Gerard Thornton there as we head our way through now in towards the Fogarty S's. With Wingfei Chan looking to now get the move around the outside in towards the Melbourne hairpin, maybe channeling an inner Stewart there as there's a spinner, and that's a Stewart colliding with the Jordan. That's the one car you don't want to make contact with, especially in an Irish racing series.
No, it certainly isn't. That is a couple of cars around there at the Adelaide hair, or the Melbourne hairpin. Excuse me, I'm mixing up my Australian cities. The Melbourne hairpin.
Kevin Joyce trying to find a
Here's
move
Kevin
down
Joyce
the inside.
having a battle with Wayne Douglas, I believe. As yes, that is a bit of a mistake there for Wayne Douglas, but it is job done for Kevin Joyce. That'll put Douglas now back in towards the pack. I believe he's behind Jason Lingard here, battling with Jason Smith, who we saw recovering from an earlier spin. Is Smith going to try and sneak it up the inside? Yes, he is, but he's boxed off by Wayne Douglas and Jason Smith. That was a no-go. That avenue was turned into a cul-de-sac. He was not getting his car out of there safely, and he won't be able to find a way past Wayne Douglas. Douglas still looking to try and get past Lingard. Two drivers who we didn't see feature in the GT4 Cup. We're certainly seeing feature in the top 10 here so far in Heat 1.
Look at that, emerging from the spray is Jason Smith, looking to see if he can, Wayne Douglas looking for a move past Jason Lingard there as we head our way now through the spray, through the water and rain here, as that's a huge lunge down the inside. That looked like, was that Brian McCarthy? No, it was Naveed Hussain getting a move done on Brian McCarthy. That move came out of nowhere, but he launched it down the inside and has got himself now up into 11th place. Wayne Douglas has been passed, has been passed by Jason Smith now. So Smith looking on now at the back of Jason Lingard. Wherever you look here, there's a little bit of a battle going on as Jason Smith thinks about a move up the inside, maybe filling the mirrors there, because look at that. This is a switchback attempt. He takes a wider line through the first corner there at Redgate, and that allows him to take that wider line, the karting line almost, in these wet weather conditions. And that was Jason Smith showing that experience, moving up into 8th place.
Yes, great job there by Jason Smith. A brilliant move by Naveed Hussain. Not the first time a Doctor's had a good performance around here, of course. You might remember Valentino Rossi had a great race here in 2006. I believe he lost to Pedrosa on that day, but was a good race nonetheless, or certainly the MotoGP historians would tell you. Jordan Kelly's gone at the front. This is deja vu for some, but we have not had a procession that the timing tower at the top certainly would indicate to you. It's been nothing but thrilling action from front to rear. Here is Naveed Hussain looking to try go for the move on Wayne Douglas and get in towards the top 10 upon his return to RTA Virtual Motorsport. Is it going to be a dive at the Melbourne hairpin? He looked a little bit too far back. Can it go for it nonetheless? No, he's going to have to lock up the tyres there to get that one stopped, but that did force Douglas into an error. He has caught the bait from Naveed Hussain, and Hussain might be able to go for it down towards the inside. Yes, here he goes. It is the 007 on the inside. Mission successful for Naveed Hussain. He's now into the top 10 past Wayne Douglas.
Name's Hussain, Naveed Hussain. He moves himself now up into the top 10, and that was certainly the apple that the Doctor definitely didn't want. But Naveed Hussain moves himself now up into that top 10. The next target now for him will be Jason Lingard, facing his way through. Peter McCann also on the back of Alexander Milchen, and there's so many battling drivers going on. It's almost difficult to pick out a winning battle, but Peter McCann here is all over Alexander Milchen, but he runs a little bit wide there going through the Schwantz curve, and now we head our way through in towards McLean's, and that's just the view from the front wing. The amount of spray going into these drivers, you have to make these decisions, you have to make these moves in reduced visibility when you're following that car ahead. We've already seen in the GT4 series that Alexander Milchen is not an easy driver to pass. He knows where to put that car to get the best defensive line, and all that battling. Jason Smith has also joined the fray as we head our way through the Fogarty S's, and it may... that looks like a much better exit there from Jason Smith as well. He's filling those mirrors. He moves one way. Now he's going to go round the outside here of Peter McCann, going through the Melbourne hairpin. They both put the power down. Jason Smith will have the inside line now as we head away towards Goddard, and he can take the racing line. Jason Smith now up into 6th place. Runs a little bit deep into the final corner, but that allows him to get the power down earlier.
Jason Smith knows his way around a single seater. He had the most wins in the Formula Ford 1600 Championship. He's up to 6th ahead of Peter McCann. This is Dr. Naveed Hussain, who's going for the move on Jason Lingard. We've seen him cut through the pack since an earlier opening incident, and that is Hussain up and through. He's out of the spray. He no longer wanted to get a mouthful of the sky fall in the form of rain, and he is up and ahead in towards 9th position. Was that a car off the track in front? I'm not sure if it was, but that was Peter McCann losing spots. Yeah, it was a car off in front. McCann has lost some spots. He lost 1 position to Smith. He's now lost 3 more in the form of Joyce, Hussain and Lingard, and actually Wayne Douglas sneaking through as well. So a big issue there for Peter McCann as we're on the last lap.
We are indeed. It's absolutely flown by. Let's see what happened to Peter McCann there. Now, this probably would have been down possibly at the old hairpin then. Well, we're heading our way now through the Craner curves as we head our way out of Hollywood. So this is probably going to be at the old hairpin. Through the Craner curves we go. Oh, that's a huge snap there for Peter McCann. Well saved on that 360. He did a fantastic job of recovering that one. I'm going to give a round of applause for Peter McCann there. That was brilliant. As Jordan Kelly and all of that takes the checkered flag and takes the first heat victory here tonight.
Yes, great result there for Jordan Kelly to get the job done. Ronan Doherty leads home Jamal Gandor. It's not Jamal in fourth, unfortunately. He has gone a lap down. Sean McClemens in fourth, ahead of Jason Smith in fifth. Great recovery from Smith to fifth from that earlier moment, heading through Coppice. Then in sixth position, it will be Alexander Milchin. Kevin Joyce taking seventh ahead of Naveed Hussain in eighth. Wayne Douglas ninth and Jason Lingard 10th. So it is a trio of returnees in 8th, 9th and 10th. Then Peter McCann in 11th after that spin. Could have been a lot worse. Fantastic job from Peter there. And Brian McCarthy in 12th. That was an introduction to madness for some. I think it's an introduction to what's going to be a fantastic series.
I think you've got to be really consistent, and if you keep your head out of trouble, you are going to do well in this series. Unfortunately, if you qualify somewhere in the midfield, that is easier said than done. I just want to say, though, there's a couple of drivers there that really got some positions there. Gerard Thornton up 16 places. So he started from the very back, got himself up into the midfield. Fantastic performance from Gerard in that one. Unfortunately for him, his reward is that midfield start I've just talked about. So maybe bittersweet, but we'll see how his Heat 2 goes on.
Yeah, Dylan McClement's going to have that midfield started as well. Dylan took a pole around Donington, his first RTA pole, I believe, back in the Formula Ford 1600s. Unfortunately, it will be a 15th start here for him in Heat number 2. But let's have a look at Heat 1 results before we allude to that race. Jordan Kelly takes the win for Team Dalton, ahead of Rory O'Shea in the High Prix. Then it's Ronan Doherty in 3rd, Sean McClemens in 4th, Jason Smith in 5th, ahead of Alexander Milchin in 6th, Kevin Joyce in 7th, Naveed Hussain in 8th, the man who was on screen many a time for a great overtake in that race, and it's Wayne Douglas in 9th, with Jason Lingard in 10th position.
Yeah, Peter McCann then in 11th place, recovering from that spin. Brian McCarthy then in 12th place, with Conor Melia in 13th. And then it's Kamto Chukwure in 14th place. Dylan McClements in 15th. Gerard Thornton in 16th place, with Wing Fei Chan in 17th place. Sean McGoldrick in 18th place. Gary Corcoran in 19th. And David Prunty in 20th place.
Yeah, then a little bit further down the order, it's Colin O'Regan in 21st, with Stuart Burton in 22nd, Jamal Gandor in 23rd, Brian McManus in 24th, with Philip Upson in 25th, Lawrence de Sosbra in 26th, Tony, then it is Stack, Dalton, Parks, Duke, Murphy, Melbourne, O'Brien and Walsh. Let's get going for Heat number 2 here at Donington Park as we go racing for the second of 3. It's a lot cleaner off the line for some in the backpack. It's a great start for Jordan Kelly once again, who covers off Rory O'Shea nicely. Brilliant start there for Jason Smith, looking to lunge 2 cars, and that's actually a car around from Jason Smith. It's Ronan Doherty who spins back in front of the field, and the carnage will follow, as he was sort of a cork in the bottle for everyone heading through turn number 1 because of that incident with Jason Smith. The stewards may be looking at that one later on in the evening, and no, I don't mean Wing Fei Chan's car.
No, absolutely. Well, it was always an ambitious move there, but all manner of chaos happened behind him regardless, as Gary Corcoran is falling down the order. He's off the track there. That's on the exit of the old hairpin, but also that's a yellow car going slowly. That looks like probably Tony Stack was suffering there. Brian McCarthy is also falling down the order, so a lot of drivers here absolutely falling down the order. There's 2 cars there. That's Brian McCarthy and Jason Lingard, who have stopped here on the exit of McLean's. Now, whether they've pirouetted in sympathy of each other, or perhaps there was more to that story, we'll have to see. But I mean, there's going to be a lot for poor Ronan Hederman to actually, rewind and actually show us on replays, because so much has happened on a single lap. There's not even 3.6 miles.
I know, it's absolutely madness. So here's Ronan's best attempt of it here on the Gantry TV replay. Let's have a look. This is Ronan Doherty, the Team DDR car. Got a good start, actually, but not as good as Jason Smith. Jason went for the move in towards red gate of turn number 1, and Ronan he tried to leave as much room as possible, did close over on the wheel, and then, oh my goodness, would you look at what ensued behind. That is 5 cars off at turn number 1, 6 there just on the exit, and someone was only heading through the corner at that point. Yeah, that is pretty chaotic at the start. Jason Smith, Ronan Doherty, first lap incident, certainly a big talking point from this heat so far.
It was interesting because from that angle, it actually looked like Jason Smith didn't make any contact. It looked like the contact came from the outside there, and nothing to do with Jason Smith. But again, it could be eyes playing tricks on me. Oh, that is 2 cars just spinning off in sympathy, completely separate incidents. One of them involving Jason Lingard, and the both of them there just have to painfully wait for for the train of cars to pass through before they can safely rejoin onto the track. Meanwhile, though, Jordan Kelly and Rory O'Shea within a second of each other in these early stages. Kevin Joyce, meanwhile, is looking for a move on Sean McClements. They're going to have to go side by side here through the Fogarty S's. Doesn't normally end well and isn't going to end well this time as the two of them made contact and almost launch over each other here. That's going to allow Peter McCann, Conor Melia and also Dylan McClements to throw their hats into the ring in towards the Melbourne hairpin. But a little bit of argy-bargy, which is not easy to do with these open wheelers because normally argy-bargy normally means a retirement or two.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen this. Oh, hold that thought. That's a car gone round. Dylan McClements does very well to avoid the spinning Conor Melia. That is fabulous heads-up driving from Dylan McClements. But I can't remember the last time I saw a single-seater go partially airborne and just carry on like it was absolutely nothing. But this is Peter McCann and Kevin Joyce, two of the cars involved in that little bit of a midfield melee. Continuing on, McCann is going to keep the spot for the time being. We're looking at Jared Thornton and Fort now. We're looking once again at Kevin Joyce. We don't really know where to look in this heat, if you couldn't tell, because there's action all over the place. The spray down towards the old hairpin is horrible if you're following a car in front. But the benefit of the slipstream is there's someone going off. I believe that's Rob Parks who's gone off. I believe that is our supreme leader, to quote Kevin Galvin, of Rob Parks in the number 39, who's just had a bit of a spin. I think that's similar to what we saw on the opening lap of the heat.
Yeah, and probably similar to what we saw to Peter McCann at the end of the last one, as that's Gerard Thornton, who's off.
Oh, no.
And he was running in 4th place. He started in 16th at Gerard Thornton. Let's see what happened here then. So this is going through in towards Coppice here. So tries to turn in and just... What happens here? Yeah, he runs wide.
Oh.
That's an odd one.
That's a really odd one.
Gerard Thornton.
I thought he'd done a Jason Smith and just kind of spun around and ended up in an odd position, but no, he just completely ran wide. It's like he tried to brake on the curb, the car wouldn't slow down, and he just ran off into the beach and beached it. But speaking of Jason Smith, here he is going for 2nd position on Rory O'Shea in the High Prix. It was a great season for Rory O'Shea last season, picked up 310 points and finished 4th in the A Championship because of it. But the 3-time RTA champ now has a job to do to defend Jason Smith behind. Here's Brian McManus looking for a move on Wing-Fei Chan in towards the first corner. Wing-Fei having a lot better a time in this second heat than he did in the first. He is in 9th position currently, chasing down Conor Melia a little bit further back, or a little bit further forward, I should say. Peter McCann running a steady 5th, looking to, I suppose, take the result he probably feels he deserves from the opening race, Kieran.
Yeah, all felled by a spin right on the final lap there, which he very much well recovered from. He lost 3 positions, but it could have been a lot worse. He now runs in 5th place. So he's up 6 places from where he started this heat as Dylan McClements goes past Kevin Joyce. Meanwhile, Wayne Douglas is past Conor O'Regan, but O'Regan looks like he's in trouble here because he's fallen down the order there. Kevin Joyce, meanwhile, looking to find a way, or I should say, Brian McManus finding a way past Kevin Joyce, which is what happened on your screen there. So Wing-Fei Chan and Brian McManus both past Kevin Joyce then, 8th and 9th place respectively.
Yeah, we're looking at Jason Smith here and Rory O'Shea. It's Rory O'Shea on the outside, Jason Smith there in the blue and white car on the inside, but he now has the outside. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's got a much better exit here, got the traction down way better, and he's got the job done. These cars can be difficult sometimes on the traction, but it's through the corners where they sometimes can struggle. Bit of a weaker front end, so understeer through sort of medium and low speed is very common on these machines. And you can see a couple of drivers struggling with that a little bit, but not Jason Smith on this occasion. Gets the job done, and he's up ahead of Rory O'Shea.
Conor Melia's in trouble as well, as he's fallen back quite substantially, down to 18th place, and that's why for Conor Melia at the final corner has managed a bit of a half spin at Goddard. He gets going again, but is all the way down in 18th place, and don't tell me that's Peter McCann. It is! Peter McCann's in trouble again!
And I believe that's at the old hairpin again. That is a problem for Peter McCann. He's had a similar mistake to what he had in heat number 1. Let's have a look at it. He's heading down here through the Craner curves, and he is braking here for the old hairpin. Is the car just going to tip around from? It is. It's just gone round. Maybe a bit too much speed in there for Peter can, but it's just another mistake that's going to potentially cost him a very high points-paying result.
Yeah, and it'll be a frustrating one as well, because he did all that work to get himself up into 6th place there, and now he finds himself outside of the top 10, and in fact in 12th place. So he's going to have to do all that work all over again to give himself a best opportunity to sort of get a reverse grid pole going into this one, as that's a dive down the inside there further behind. That looked like it was Chugwura who was trying to find a way through, or was that perhaps Sean McGoldrick on Wayne Douglas? In fact, it might be that way, as now, and Chugwura trying to now defend from Sean McGoldrick, runs a little bit wide onto the curb and will lose that position back to Sean McGoldrick. So McGoldrick back up into 9th place. Nice bit of battling between the two there for a spot for 9th place.
Yeah, great little bit of racing there between Wayne Douglas and Kamto Chukwa in towards the final hairpin. Brian McManus running a steady 7th here, who's on our screen heading down towards the crater curves. He's chasing Wing Fei Chan. Wayne Douglas still looking to mount an attack on Kamto just behind, and you can see this is a move from Wayne Douglas ahead of Kamto Chukwa in towards the old hairpin. That's a great move from Wayne. He's really shown himself to be a bit of a crafty racer so far this evening. Now we're looking at Kevin Joyce, and that is Sean McGoldrick. Sorry, that's McGoldrick actually, who's made the move on Kevin Joyce. A fantastic move there. Joyce going to look to sneak it back up the inside, but no, it wasn't able to do so.
This time, Sean McGoldrick still holding on to that position. Oh, that's a spin for Philip Opson in 17th place. He's managed to hold it, though, by just absolutely planting the brakes on there, and gets himself at least facing the right way again. David Prunty, meanwhile, is having to look in his mirrors at Colin O'Regan, who's right behind him here, as Jordan Kelly sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 30.4, as he's now built a 5.4 second lead. He really has done that over the last couple of laps. He's very much in comfortable control as we ride on board with our reigning GT4 champ, and a driver who's built up a 5.5 second lead. He has certainly picked up the gauntlet he laid down last season, and is looking to carry on that momentum exactly where he left off last time.
Yep, he is. There's no stopping the Jordan show, it seems, for the time being. The reverse grid race might have other things to say when he has to start in the middle of the pack, but let's say hasn't been incident free on the race start. Sean McGoldrick getting past Brian McManus. This is in the battle for 7th spot. You can see there McGoldrick in the Allens livery, I'm being reportedly told, not Aliens, Allens livery. He's just getting past Brian McManus there for 7th position. Sean McGoldrick, a man with a lot of experience in sim racing. He's been sim racing since 1996, seemingly. He started on IndyCar Racing 2. That was 11 years before that was 9 years before I was born.
That's quite something. That really is something.
Sorry, Sean, you're going to hate me from this point onwards.
He will. Yeah, why would you even bring that up, Evan?
I don't know.
Very
I had to
harsh.
say something.
Oh, well, you could have just said nothing, left out of that. Jordan Kelly setting the fastest lap of the race then, as Colin O'Regan and David Prunty go side by side here, going in towards the Fogarty S's. Colin O'Regan wins that battle out for now, as David Prunty will keep applying the pressure as we head away down towards the Melbourne hairpin, certainly filling the mirrors, and now he might think about a move, but has to brake heavily there, almost locking up the car just to make sure it slows down in time. Colin O'Regan holding on to that position. Aaron Dalton, meanwhile, is trying to hold back the Renault liveried machine of Finlay Melvin, who goes for a move down the inside and gets that move stuck then. Finlay Melvin up into P17 and goes for a defensive line as we head away towards Goddard's.
Yeah, we're looking at Wing Fei Chan taking a bit of a defensive approach, I should say, here on Brian McManus. He's looking to keep McManus behind as we look back from the number 10 of Wing Fei Chan on towards the number 4 of McManus. McManus going to try the outside in towards McLean's, and that is a brilliant, brilliant move from Brian McManus. He made that one look easy. Trust me, that is not an easy feat to go around the outside there when you can't touch the grass or the curbs, and especially in these wet conditions. He's up and he's ahead. Wing Fei under a lot of pressure now. May have made a mistake somewhere along the lap, but you can just see, oh, that gets so close between Wingfight Chan and Kevin Joyce. Kevin has certainly not had a trouble-free race, and as we say that, round goes Kevin Joyce in towards the Fogarty S's, and I believe that was actually Wingfight who's gone round with him. That is not a good section of corners for those two drivers. They were having a battle for 8th. They now can they can now head on a battle for 12th.
Yeah, that looked like they're a bit of a last of the late breakers. Unfortunately, in these conditions, it's so easy to lock the rear brakes, and that looks like that's what happened. Aaron Dalton, meanwhile, for P18, is trying to hold off the attack of Philip Upson here as we head our way through in towards the Fogarty S's, as Brian McCarthy now is having to defend here from Nigel O'Brien, or O'Brien. It's always an interesting one, and I'll always get it wrong. But the two of them battling away very nicely here as Andrew Murphy has to defend aggressively in towards the Melbourne hairpin and getting the power down. We're not too far away now from the closing stages of this race. Working out where Jordan Kelly is out on track. Perhaps we'll start to work out how many laps are left of this second heat. Where is he now? That looks like the final corner. So this is going to be the penultimate lap of this race. Jordan Kelly about to start the final lap.
Yeah, he's been nothing but superb so far here this evening. Even when we all questioned, can he be as dominant? He's gone to prove us wrong, but still has Heat 3 coming up. He took one hat-trick of wins last season in the GT4 Cup. Looking to do something similar, as he's just set the fastest lap of the race after 13 minutes of running. That is impressive showing from Jordan Kelly, but obviously these guys will be getting quicker over time. Here's Colin O'Regan and the sort of walking wounded Wingfight Chan, I suppose, heading into the chicane where it all went down for Wingfight and for Kevin Joyce. That's going to be Colin O'Regan. Just look at this from Kevin Joyce. Speak of the devil down the inside. He's going to try go for double trouble down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Late on the brakes. It's a bit of a lunge if he was to go for it from here. He may be able to get ahead of Colin O'Regan, but not necessarily Wingfight. And that is going to be Wingfight Chan and Kevin Joyce, who've both managed to get past O'Regan. Impressive showing from two cars who were facing the wrong way literally a lap ago. Speaking of facing the wrong way at that chicane, it's Aaron Dalton who's down to 21st.
Yeah, as Brian McCarthy and Andrew Murphy both fly through, as we'll see the closing stages of this race. Kevin Joyce desperate to try and pass Colin O'Regan. As we watch on here, Peter McCann has made his way back up into 8th place. Kevin Joyce, though, is now having to try and attack here, going down in towards the Craner curves, and then towards the old hairpin. But Colin O'Regan is not giving up this one up without a fight. Wayne Douglas now is having to look in his mirrors because Lawrence de Sosva wants that 9th place on this final lap of the race then. Meanwhile, Jordan Kelly heads to the checkered flag.
Here comes Jordan Kelly. It's 2 for 2 so far in Super Formula Lights for Kelly. He takes the win by 6.3 seconds over Rory O'Shea in second. It's Jason Smith who comes home third after being what we believe involved in an opening lap incident. Sean McClemens will then come home a steady fourth. He's just heading through the chicane to lead his brother home. Dylan McClemens then in 5th position ahead of another Sean McGoldrick. Spelled differently, same pace. It's 6th position for Sean McGoldrick. Was a good cut through the field there from him. Ahead of Brian McManus, who'll come home in a very solid 7th position for Brian McManus. Peter McCann recovers to 8th after we saw he had a bit of a spin heading out of the old hairpin. It'll be Douglas in 9th and Lawrence de Salzwa, another man with a good recovery drive, up to 10th spot. He was down in the 20s after Heat 1, remember.
Yeah, very nice indeed, as Tony Stack will come across the line in 11th place there. Wingfight Chan in 12th place. Kevin Joyce in that late charge finishes in 13th place. David Prunty beaten to the line there by Colin O'Regan, but that's still going on to the checkered flag. It's a case of who can get the power down. It's Colin O'Regan who finishes ahead of David Prunty for 14th place, as Finley Melbourne across the line in 16th. Philip Upson in 17th place. Conor Melia in 18th, as we watch on the battle for 19th place, as Brian McCarthy will just about finish ahead of Andrew Murphy there for 19th and 20th place.
Yeah, if you're actually wondering what happened to Kamto Chukawa, who we saw involved in a fight, he actually got disqualified from that one. He didn't pit to repair damage. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware that you had to do that here in RTA, so unfortunately did receive a disqualification there, if you're wondering what happened to his name. But Jordan Kelly top of the bunch after that one. I believe we're going to hear from him soon in an interview. But we'll run you through the order quickly first. Kelly then takes the win ahead of O'Shea. Smith, then it is McClellan squared in 4th and 5th. Sean McGoldrick in 6th. Brian McManus in 7th. Peter McCann in 8th ahead of Douglas and De Soswa.
Yeah, Tony Stack in 11th place, Wing Fei Chan in 12th, with Kevin Joyce in 13th place, Conor Egan in 14th, David Prunty in 15th place, Finlay Melvin in 16th, with Philip Upson in 17th place, Conor Melia in 18th, with Brian McCarthy in 19th place, and Andrew Murphy rounding off our top 20.
Yeah, then it's Aaron Dalton ahead of Gary Corcoran, Naveed Hussain. Fortunately, not having the same success he had in heat number 1. He was followed by Jamal Gandor. Then it was Alexander Milchin down in 25th, with Stuart Burton in 26th. Then it was Nigel O'Brien in 27th, and then Kamto Chukwa in 28th. Ronan Doherty 29th. That's a difficult starting spot for him. And of Rob Parks, Jason Linger, Jared Thornton, and Peter Duke. Well, let's have the first interviews of the season then, shall we? It is not a new name, however, to the in-between Heat 2 and Heat 3 interviews. It's going to be your 2-time race winner already, Jordan Kelly, who we will hear from now. Jordan, you haven't got any slower then anyways.
No, it doesn't seem like it, but it's definitely a tricky car in this rain, that's for sure. Jesus.
The weather causing some big problems out there. You've managed it okay, but it seems like some other drivers have struggled. How bad truly is it from the cockpit of one of these cars?
The first 2 laps is literally like you're literally on thin ice the whole time. You can't drive into a corner. You're just there's no grip like. But once the third, fourth lap come in, you kind of start feeling the car a wee bit more. But them first few laps is just. I think if Jason didn't have his moment at the start of the first race, he would have been well on me. Like, but hopefully it will be a good race now in the third race.
Yeah, speaking of that third race, you took a hat trick last season. You could do it tonight. Are you going to try and repeat that?
I'm not gonna try and do it, but if it comes, it comes. But like, it's just a matter of keeping out of trouble here in the reverse grid because I haven't actually driven behind somebody properly in the spray, so that's going to be interesting now once we get going for the start now.
Jordan, great to hear from you. We wish you the best of luck, and all going well, we hope to hear from you after.
Will do, Evan. Appreciate it.
Let's hear from the second place man with Kieran then. It is Rory O'Shea.
Let's bring him in then. Rory O'Shea. Rory, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
Great stuff. Rory, 2 second places for you tonight there. Jordan Kelly's absolutely running away with it at the moment, but your first real taste for RTA with these wet weather conditions, how are they treating you out there?
It's been difficult. Thankfully, I managed to qualify well enough that I haven't been in the midfield, but it's so tough, especially following behind the likes of Jordan and Jason and all. It's as hard a racing as ever going to get, really.
I mean, you've talked about starting in the midfield with the reverse grid coming up. Obviously, you're starting 7th. Now, we've seen a bit of carnage in the midfield in both race starts. How are you going to approach this next race for that start?
Oh, I have no idea. I think we're really going into unknown territories here. The first ever wet RTA reverse grid race. I think it's just hope for the best, really.
Hope for the best. I mean, let's talk about sort of title challenges. It's quite early on in the season, but it's clear you've got the pace here today. Is there a chance you can really mount a title challenge against Jordan Kelly, who's won both races by quite a sizable margin?
Yeah, it'll be difficult, like it always is with Jordan. He's so good, but I'm holding out hope maybe in the dry for future rounds I can be a little bit closer to Jordan.
Great stuff, Rory. We'll let you prepare for the third and final race of tonight. So good luck, and hopefully the midfield start treats you well.
Yeah, cheers.
It's probably a good idea to bring in... oh no, he's gone. Oh no.
No, yeah, I believe we're going to be hopping straight into heat number 3. We are getting the ball rolling quickly here in RTA, which is good to see. We love keeping the action on track flowing. But great to hear from Jordan and Rory O'Shea there, 1 and 2 in both the first and second heat. But Kieran, something tells me it's not going to be that way for the third heat.
Yeah, of course. The top 8 reversed from the race results from the race we've just seen. So that's going to put, if I get this right, which I should be able to, is going to put Peter McCann on that pole position. Now, Peter's had a bit of a tumultuous time at the moment. He's had 2 spins, recovered from both of them, but it does mean he gets a pole position start, I do believe, according to the reverse grid. So let's see what he can do with that.
Yeah, it's Peter McCann who is on that reverse pole ahead of Brian McManus in second. 2 drivers who've had their fair share of issues but who've recovered well here this evening. Then it's Sean McGoldrick in third, Dylan McClements in fourth, Sean McClements in fifth, Jason Smith in sixth. If he gets away well, keep an eye on him. Rory O'Shea in seventh, ahead of Jordan Kelly in eighth, Wayne Douglas in ninth. Then it's Lawrence de Soswa in 10th, Tony Stack in 11th, and Wing Fei Chan in 12th position. That's a really intriguing top 12, Kieran. This could be a fantastic one as we head on to the grid for the third and final heat. It's safe to say we're all anticipating something to occur at this race start.
I mean, if you're not anticipating something to happen at this race start, I think you're an optimist at the best of times. But we'll have to wait and see. Peter McCann on that reverse grid pole. We'll have to see Jordan Kelly and Rory O'Shea muscle their way through the order as the rain's still falling here at Donington, moments away from the third and final race of tonight.
Well, it's the first ever RTA reverse top 8 wet weather race as we go racing here at Donington Park. Brilliant start from third place man Sean McGoldrick in towards the first corner. Great start as well for Sean McClements in towards the first corner. There's a lunge there from Jason Smith down in towards turn number 1. We're all safely through for the top punch. No, we're not. Round goes pole sitter Peter McCann. It's for the 3rd time today. He's had an unfortunate spin, but it's okay. There's 3 cars to join him here on the grass patch. It is that chaotic start we were so expecting, but Brian McManus leads. There's more gone off here at the old hairpin. Rory O'Shea in 5th in the high pre, just cutting through the field, but it is McManus, McGoldrick, Smith, McClements, O'Shea and Lawrence de Soswa up to 6th position. Jordan Kelly, winner in race 1, winner in race 2, he's down to 12th here in race number 3. Jason Smith is going for his own lap of the gods and trying to take that race lead.
Absolutely, he spun it. Jason Smith has the half spin, happens to recover and is just about avoided there. I think that was by Rory O'Shea. There was some great driving there. Now Rory O'Shea is mounting a charge on Dylan McClements down the inside then in towards the Fogarty S's, and Dylan McClements doesn't have a response. Sean McGoldrick is now off the track. Nobody wants that 2nd place right now as Sean McGoldrick falls down the order. That allows Wing Fei Chan to at least get up there. Jason Smith looking for a move up the inside now. He gets past Dylan McClements. So it's Brian McManus leading by 2.3 seconds ahead of Rory O'Shea and Jason Smith. Brian McCarthy now in trouble going through the Melbourne hairpin. He's lost a ton of positions there, down to 14th place at the moment as he looks to try and find a way back on track, but can't find the way through this time around. It's Brian McManus that leads here in the reverse grid race.
What a change in positions we've had as well. Alexander Milchin is up 16. Naveed Hussain is up 13. Nigel O'Brien up 15. Ronan Doherty up 16. We have Rob Parks who's up 14. Gerard Thornton up 13. What a change in positions. What an unbelievable first lap. What an absolute classic start to the first reverse grid race here in the Super Formula Lights Championship. This is Naveed Hussain who's looking to try and go for the move for 9th spot on Alexander Milchin down towards the right-hander. I don't even think anyone is brave enough to go for that move. He's going to try and hang it around the outside anyway. He's got to be careful not to touch the curbs here. He's weaving his way in and out, looking to strike a move past Alexander Milchin, but now he's under pressure from the fast-flying Jordan Kelly, who is just going to nip that position and take this one. But are they going to be side by side in towards the chicane? Don't think this has ended well once tonight. It's Naveed Hussain who breaks a lot later, and he goes to show the champ that I can break later than you.
Yeah, I don't think Jordan Kelly was interested in that one. He wasn't really wanted to make it too wide through the Fogarty S's, as there goes once again Naveed Hussain going down the inside of Alexander Milchin in towards the Melbourne hairpin and gets the move done and dusted. Well, it's a clinic for him down at the Melbourne hairpin. The doctor is in there.
Yes, here he goes down towards the final corner as well. It is Finlay Melvin in that old Renault livery trying to hang it around the outside. Down towards the first corner now, 2 by 2 they go. Just like Noah built the ark for floods, we're getting similar ones here at Donington Park this evening. Kelly into 10th spot. That drops Milchin down to 11th. Nigel O'Brien is down to 12th position. Up the front, that gap is down to a second between Brian McManus and Rory O'Shea. And look at this from Naveed Hussain. Look at this from Naveed Hussain. This is insane. Trying it round the outside and towards the old hairpin. They make contact. Jordan Kelly sneaks his way through. Incredible racing from these guys. Not to end up off the track. Have I spoken too soon? Alexander Milchin goes sliding, heading through Starkey's Bridge.
Yeah, got onto the grass and just couldn't get himself off of it there. Brian McManus' lead has been scythed down by Rory O'Shea and Jason Smith here as we head our way through in towards the Fogarty S's. O'Shea in second place, Jason Smith in third at the moment, Dylan McClements in fourth place, Loris de Sosfa is in fifth, but here comes Naveed Hussain once again, having to defend this time from Ronan Doherty as someone gets wild in there through the Fogarty S's. That's Nigel O'Brien, and meanwhile Ronan Doherty is now going to go for two moves in one fell swoop. He's not got a lot of move to try and get that move done, but he'll go down the inside there and there is no room, and he gets a bit of oversteer just to boot as well. Alexander Milchin fancies his chances then as we head away down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Naveed Hussain again down the inside of Nigel O'Brien to get his way through up the inside of Goddard and gets himself back up into the top 10. Sean McGoldrick with the fastest lap of the race. Rob Parks and Connor Media battling along to each other, and now it's Rory O'Shea and Jason Smith battling for second place.
Yes, this is a cracking battle between these two. This is Rory O'Shea in second, Jason Smith in third. Jason has had the pace tonight, but he's not really been able to use it. Both have won championships here in RTA Virtual Motorsport. Both want to prove their prestige. Jason Smith down the inside, heading in towards McLean's, and round goes Rory O'Shea. It's contact, very similar to what we saw 2 seasons ago with Jason Smith heading into that very corner. It was Jason Cooper on that day. It's Rory O'Shea today. Round goes O'Shea into the grass. Two of the top dogs are down and out of heat 3.
Yeah, and that's Rory O'Shea still trying to go on. I wonder if he's got some major damage to the rear of that car, because it's not going anywhere right now. It might be, but it might just be how wet the grass is, although we've seen people actually get away from there. Jordan Kelly and Jason Smith, although this might not be a lead battle we were expecting, it's definitely a battle on the cards as we head away down towards the Melbourne hairpin, as we'll get back onto the power, heading away towards Goddard. So Brian McManus keeping his cool and keeping the lead of this race there. The lead was scythed down there, but, you know, just making sure you keep your car on the track, putting in those consistent lap times is proving really good for Brian McManus.
Yes, I believe a certain Kieran McGinley said the key to this season is to be consistent. Well, Brian McManus could go to prove that theory better than Einstein proved E is equal to MC squared here, as he is doing a stellar job out the front and just keeping calm, keeping collected, while everyone else is getting involved in their own incidents behind. Lawrence de Soswa in third spot, took one podium in the GT4 Cup. That was in the last round of the season at Laguna Seca. He's looking to start the season off on a good foot here. He's looking to defend from Sean McGoldrick, but Sean's very quick here this evening. He will have a very good look up the inside potentially in towards this next right-hander. De Soswa defending just like we've seen him do in the past. Lawrence has been involved in many a classic battle here in RTA.
Yeah, he is, but that looked like a better exit from Sean McGoldrick then, going out of Coppice, but nowhere to really put it down Starkey straight in towards the Fogarty S's then, as they just have to follow each other through there. And we'll see, we'll have to keep an eye on that battle. Here's the clinic that's on for Naveed Hussain. He sets this one up down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Will the doctor be in down the inside this time, I wonder? He will certainly, well, he's going to go for it down the inside of Finley, Melvin. And Naveed Hussain makes that look so easy. And I can guarantee you, it's not easy at all. But Naveed Hussain, that's his happy hunting ground down in towards the Melbourne hairpin.
He didn't send Melvin to the emergency room, he sent him to the shops. What a move by Naveed Hussain. Incredible. Ronan Hederman enjoyed that move in the background as well, I can tell you. Lawrence de Soswa is going to have to try and hope that he can stay ahead of Sean McGoldrick. Oh, look at this! It's side by side down the Kreiner curves in what can only be described as near monsoon conditions, although it is drying up a little bit now than it was earlier on. It's still not ideal for single-seater racing, but these guys are finding no hassles whatsoever. Sean McGoldrick not able to get the job done. I tell you what, Lawrence has made his single-seater as wide as a cruise ship on this very lap.
Oh, Jordan Kelly fancied his chances there, but he runs a little wide. Meanwhile, though, that was Sean McGoldrick going right round the outside of Lawrence de Sosva then to take third place as we made our way through in towards Coppice there. Lovely move from McGoldrick. Moves himself into those podium positions. Lawrence de Sosva then down to fourth place. That puts Jason Smith now up into fifth place. Finley Melvin, meanwhile, is having to hold off the attacks from Wingfei Chan and Ronan Doherty. Doherty and Chan in a battle of their own then as they head their way down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Doherty on the inside here, and he'll be later on the brakes, and he will move himself up into ninth place. Meanwhile, Sean McGoldrick then trying to get himself away from this battle. Jason Smith down the inside now of Lawrence de Sosva, and Jordan Kelly simply follows him through the open door, and that's both of them through. Smith to fourth, Kelly to fifth, and de Sosva down to sixth.
Yes, Lawrence de Soswa down to sixth after fighting in third spot for quite some time. He is a little bit ahead of Naveed Hussain behind, so might be able to recover and stay in sixth position. This is the battle for the lead. It's between Brian McManus and Dylan McClements. Dylan, who took a fabulous second place in the A Championship last season with 442 points. He is looking to start on winning ways. He took 3 wins last season, to be fair to him, but he'd like to take one here in the opening round of the season. Had to wait until round 3 in Monza to get his first win in the GT4 Cup. A first round win at Donington Park doesn't sound half bad for Dylan McClements, considering the evening he's had, Kieran. It's not been straightforward.
No, it hasn't, and we know here it's not going to be easy to pass Brian McManus, and Ronan Doherty is finding out it's not easy to pass Finley Melvin here. It's got a good run though, has Doherty, as we head our way down towards the Fogarty S's, and in that move Finley Melvin decides it's not worth the battle, it's not worth being down the inside there through the S's, and just basically lifts off, allows Ronan Doherty to take that line to fight another day, heading our way now down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Kevin Joyce, meanwhile, in 15th place, looking to try and just dart his way through on Peter McCann here. Sorry, no, that's not Peter McCann. That's Kevin Joyce. He's getting down the inside of through the Fogarty S's, and he does get that move done and dusted. Wingfei Chan, meanwhile, and Alexander Milchin battling away. Milchin round the outside, and that's someone who's facing the wrong way, just at the pit lane entrance, and is just waiting to basically find a gap in the market, a gap on track to basically rejoining our battle for the lead in the final 9 minutes of this race, though. McManus and McClements.
It seems like almost going around this lap at this point, we just have spectators just at the side of the circuit. There just seems to be cars everywhere at this point. But this is a battle not to miss, so I can understand why people might want to watch it. This is Brian McManus versus Dylan McClements. And after heat number 2, I can safely say I did not expect to be talking about this for the leader battle. Maybe one of them, definitely not 2 of them, considering the evening they had. Dylan McClements, look, he cannot see the car in front at some points there. Just look right now. He literally cannot see the car in front. That's how bad the spray is. Pulls out of line just to be able to see that car in front. How are you supposed to pitch an overtake when you literally cannot see your opposition? That's what these drivers are dealing with. It's been an exceptional showcase of skill. Albeit we've had a lot of spins and incidents, it's still been a fabulous evening purely to showcase how good these drivers actually are when the weather throws an absolute downpour at them.
Oh, that's Rory O'Shea. Oh, sorry, yes, it is Rory O'Shea who was facing the wrong way. And, yep, finding out the wet grass just does have... It's all ice. It's all ice. And Ronan Hederman in the background telling us it was just on his own there. So that's Rory O'Shea now down the order. Meanwhile, then Sean McGoldrick and Jason Smith are locked in a battle right now. Jordan Kelly's lost time and is now nearly 3 seconds back from this battle. This is a battle for the final place on the reverse grid podium.
Ronan Hederman's not done me any favours after talking of the skill set of the drivers and then cutting to Rory O'Shea sideways across the circuit. But
I wasn't going to mention it, but yeah, now that you think about it, it was quite funny.
yeah, I'll have to get my creative tendencies out later to try and make that even funnier than it already is. But here's the battle for the race lead. Here's the battle for sixth. Here's the battle for everywhere. We have a lot of battles on this circuit this evening. Lawrence de Soswa ahead of Naveed Hussain. And in terms of future weeks, keep an eye on Naveed Hussain for a race win, because he's been really quick this evening. Not necessarily had the rub of the green at most times, but he's still been really, really fast. He's caught up to Lawrence about 2.3 seconds in, nigh on nothing, or nigh on no time, I should say. This is really exceptional from the 007 in a battle for sixth position. Your current running order is Brian McManus ahead of Dylan McClelland, Sean McGoldrick, Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly. Then it is this battle to Soswa Hussain, then it is Doherty, Melvin and Mielchin. Your top 10. Surprised Naveed Hussain didn't go for it down in towards the Melbourne hairpin.
I was a bit surprised too, but I think he just realises it wasn't quite the right opportunity. Didn't have the space he wanted there, did Naveed Hussain. As we head our way down towards the first corner, just filling the mirrors there of de Soswa. Oh, and he tried to go for the move, and it was the slammed door there. The door was closing, and the doctor tried to check in, but no way through. And unfortunately there, the move didn't quite happen the way he wanted, the way the doctor ordered.
Let's examine this one then and see what the results show. It's in towards the first corner. There it is, de Soswa in front and then Naveed Hussain behind. He goes for the move. Oh, it was never really on there. I think it was
half-hearted, wasn't it? And those are the most dangerous moves for yourself, when you think, I'll go for the move, and then halfway through you think, was this actually a good idea? Meanwhile though, Dylan McClements has passed Brian McManus for the lead. So if we can see if we can find out how that happened, we'll see how Dylan McClements finally passed Brian McManus. And here it is on the Gantry TV instant replay. So this is now through the old hairpin, and Dylan McClements gets the power down here through in towards Starkey's Bridge we go. Surely this is not a move in towards McLean's here. He's sizing up through the Schwantz curve. He does go for the move in towards McLean's, and makes that great move for the lead there. Then has to defend, heading our way up towards Coppice. Brian McManus wanted that move back, but Dylan McClements held his nerve, held his own, and takes the lead of this race.
No fear on young Dylan McClements going for that move. That is exceptional in towards that corner. We've seen a couple of moves into there today, and every single one of them I think I've said has been exceptional, but that's truly because they are. He's already pulling away front, just needs to manage this for the next 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and he's got himself a win here in the Super Formula Lights. But Jason Smith is hungry for a win. He has recovered very well from all his incidents here this evening. He had one heading through this corner involving Rory O'Shea. He had one in the first heat into the next corner on his own, but he's recovered well from them all, and he's looking to try take second spot here in heat number 3. Sorry, apologies. But he does have Sean McGoldrick right behind him here, Kieran. If he starts tripping over Brian McManus too much, Sean McGoldrick could swallow them both.
It could do, and already that gap is 2 seconds now, so Jason Smith knows he has to get this move done sooner rather than later, and perhaps the Melbourne hairpin is exactly where he wants to make the move. Then he'll launch a move down the inside as Brian McManus runs deep into the corner, but he'll have, in theory, the better run in towards the final corner at Goddard's, but he's got nowhere to put it. Jason Smith then takes over second place, and the gap between himself and our race leader Dylan McClements is 2.3 seconds. This race isn't over yet with 3 minutes on the clock. It's going to be nip and tuck. It's going to be 2 laps, really, of racing. Can Jason Smith close the gap to Dylan McClements and try and pass? Jason Smith, even with battling, was only a tenth slower than Dylan McClements on that last lap. Let's see what Jason Smith can do from here.
Yeah, 2 qualifying laps here for Jason Smith needed to catch and pass Dylan McClements. As I think it was Murray Walker used to say, it's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to pass them. Jason makes both look easy at times, and he managed to dispatch Brian McManus pretty simply there. We'll keep an eye on Sean McGoldrick to see if he can pass Brian McManus, but it's a 7/10 gap there. I'd love to see Brian get a podium after what's been a steady enough drive, but I think either of them would deserve it here this evening. Some fabulous performances from around the grid. If you have any suggestions for who you think the Gantry TV driver of the day should be, feel free to put them in the stream chat, as Naveed Hussain does manage to get past Alexander Mielchin, so he's looking to recover from his spin, as you can see there on the timing tower. Peter McCann getting past David Prunty as well, as that's actually a problem for Mielchin, is why he's got past, because he's just rejoined the track right behind Ronan Doherty.
Well, there's a diving move there from Sean McGoldrick on Brian McManus there, as McManus now trying to see if he can hang on to a final podium position as we head away now in towards the final corner at Goddard's. Then Sean McGoldrick filling the mirrors of McGoldrick as we get the power down, sorry, of McManus I should say. We should be, it's going to be close though. I think we've got 2 more laps in this. If Dylan McClements puts in those 129s that he's got right now, this is 2 laps to go here.
Now, does Dylan get tactical and maybe just drop a second or 2 off the lap time, which he can't really afford to do, but drop a few tenths he could to make it a 1-lap race? I know we've seen this tried at Le Mans sometimes, but has it ever worked out? Not really. There's literally a 3-hour movie about that sort of shenanigans. Le Mans 66, you can check it out. But here comes Sean McGoldrick, trying to get past Brian McManus. This was how the race lead was taken off Brian McManus. Might be a little bit of a weak corner from him. No, absolutely none on this occasion. Great run through turn number 7 for Sean McGoldrick. From Brian McManus, I should say. That's about my 3rd commentator's curse this evening. There goes the podium chances sliding off the circuit, just like his VRA racing car of Brian McManus. Kieran, talk us through the TV replay.
You jinxed it, Evan. I can't believe it. Brian McManus here. I think he touches the grass on the entry there, and of course there's absolutely no grip there when he applies the brakes, and that just sends the back end around. Oh, Evan, you've jinxed it. You absolutely jinxed that.
It's got to be a petition for Ronan Hederman to sack me at this point from the drivers, purely from commentators' curses. It's been a horrible evening, as the white flag is raised. Just has 1 more lap. It was 4 seconds between himself and the line, so he couldn't have slowed down, otherwise Jason Smith would have taken the race win. So there'll be 1 more lap. There goes Wing Fei Chan, slides up the inside of David Prunty and gets the job done there in the Stewart retro livery, but Prunty might have another go back at him. David Prunty, of course, only lost the B Championship last season by 7 points, so he will be on a warpath to try and get some success here this season, but he's currently battling for 13th on the night. Alexander Mielchin in 10th, looking to stay ahead of Nigel O'Brien.
Yeah, all to play for on this final lap now. Nigel O'Brien wanting to find a way back into the top 10 and see if he can end his night really on a high. David Prunty wants to find a way back past Wing Fei Chan as well. About 0.6 of a second separates them. Jason Smith trying to chase down the lead for Dylan McClements, but he's 1.6 seconds back as on the final lap they are. They're about 3/4 of the race around, and Naveed Hussain has been disqualified from the race. More on that in a second. Dylan McClements should be making his way through the final sections now to try and cap off what has been a tumultuous day with a race win at the final.
Yes, here comes Dylan McClements rounding through the final corner. He took his first RTA pole back here in the Formula Ford 1600s 2 seasons ago. He will take a single-seater win here in heat number 3 of the RTA Virtual Motorsport Super Formula Lights Championship. Comes home ahead of Jason Smith. Sean McGoldrick weaves home in 3rd. Jordan Kelly comes home in 4th. Lawrence de Soswa will cap off a good return in 5th position ahead of Brian McManus, who unfortunately drops to 6th in the late race stages ahead of Finlay Melvin in 7th. Good race in all honesty for Finlay. It's consistent and he's got the job done. Ronan Doherty will come home in 8th. Maybe not his usual string of results tonight, as we've still got a fabulous battle here for 9 between Mielchin and Nigel O'Brien. O'Brien looking to get the run towards the flag man. He's not going to do so. It will be Mielchin 9th and Nigel O'Brien in 10th, with Peter McCann in 11th.
Wing Fei Chan will round up 12th place then. Conor Melia will get his way to the line in 13th place, with David Prunty in 14th place. Kevin Joyce 15th. Wayne Douglas 16th across the line. As then we'll have Gerard Thornton, who had that unfortunate incident in the 2nd race, managed to recover to at least start this one. And will finish in 17th place, as Philip Upson here is trying to hold off the last lap attempt from Chukwura for 18th place. And there's Rob Parks we will round off the top 20 here in our final race of the evening that had a little bit of everything. There's Jamal Gundor across the line in 21st place, Brian McCarthy in 22nd place, and we're just getting those now that are not on the lead lap heading across the line to put the checkered flag on their own evenings tonight. We've had some great performances tonight. Unfortunately, we have a lot of spins, but how about that for a first time and a first outing here at RTA in the wet weather at Donington? Nothing like chucking drivers into the deep end.
Yes, you couldn't have really asked for much more than that this evening. That was absolutely cracking. I thoroughly enjoyed that and wouldn't have it any other way here on a Tuesday evening. I'm sure you at home wouldn't either. So let's run through the results for the final time. This is your heat number 3. It is Dylan McClements ahead of Jason Smith and Sean McGoldrick to round out the podium. Jordan Kelly in 4th, Lawrence de Salzwa in 5th, Brian McManus in 6th. Then it is Finlay Melvin, Ronan Doherty, Alexander Milchin and Nigel O'Brien.
Peter McCann in 11th place, Wing Fei Chan in 12th, Conor Melia in 13th place with David Prunty in 14th, Kevin Joyce in 15th place, Wayne Douglas in 16th, Gerard Thornton in 17th place, Philip Upson in 18th place, Kamto Chukwera, in 19th place, with Rob Parks rounding off our top 20.
Yes, then it is Jamal Gandor in 21st. Unfortunately, didn't taste the lofty heights of 3rd that he got at Sebring last season. And Brian McCarthy in 22nd ahead of Dr. Naveed Hussain, who got disqualified at the end of that one. And was Andrew Murphy ahead of Rory O'Shea, Tony Stack, Colin O'Regan, Sean McClements, Aaron Dalton, Stuart Brereton, Gary Corcoran, Jason Lingard and Peter Duke to round out heat number 3. I think it's about time we return to some interviews. Let's hear from Dylan McClements then upon his first win of the season here in Super Formula Lights. Dylan, you had to wait till round 3 last season to take a win, but you've taken one here in round number 1. Surely you have to be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted considering the first race didn't go so well as a spun and had some incidents, but it's great to be back on the top step.
And you made a brilliant move on Brian McManus to take it in towards turn number 7. Were you thinking that maybe that could go wrong, or were you always confident in your abilities to pull that one off?
See, I knew I was really close to him, probably the closest I've ever been. So it was like I had to make the move, or else what if I never got the opportunity again? So, see, I sent it, and I half knew I was going to make the corner, but not obviously the optimal racing line.
And then you finished 2nd, of course, in the championship last season. With a win in the first round here tonight, are you going to be going for maybe something better and take the championship win?
Well, I hope so, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of practice to do because the first 2 races I was slightly off pace, but I've caught on space in the last the last race there.
Dylan, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on that win. Congratulations on that brilliant overtake that we're showing on screen now. And I'd say we hope to hear from you again soon this season. I think we will hear from you again soon. So thank you very much, Dylan.
Right, see ya.
Now let's hand it over to Kieran, and finally we'll hear from Jason Smith.
Yeah, Jason Smith couldn't run away from us this time around. Jason, can you hear us?
We can indeed, yeah.
Jason, I mean, that was a hectic night of racing action. First time speaking to you tonight. How was the wet weather racing out there? Because it looked, for the best part, quite substantial. But you had some good results today. 2 podiums and a 5th place. Not a bad haul of points for the first round of the season.
No, definitely not. It was very different. Nice change. First time racing in the wet and iRacing, so it was a great experience. But I think I spun every single race. But it was really good. The lads really picked it up in the last race. People really caught on, and yeah, I just couldn't really catch anybody at the end of the race. I had a bit of front wing damage from one of the contacts previous, but yeah.
Yeah, we're just seeing on stream there the move you made on Brian McManus in towards the Melbourne hairpin. I mean, that was a very much a happy hunting ground for you in this race, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much grip you have on these tires and offline. Like in real life, you can't make any moves or anything if you go offline. But yeah, it makes for great racing. So
Yeah, great stuff. And obviously, you had to pretty much start not necessarily in the midfield, but at lower down the order, where you'd started from relative front in these wet weather races. How was it going into that third race with a reversed grid? I mean, were there a bit of nerves going into it?
not that much, because after the first race, I was behind. I was in second run behind Jordan, and I spun, and I dropped to 12th, and then I worked my way back through, and I kind of I could nearly like drive it blind because that's basically what you were when you're coming through the pack, with all the spray. So I was fairly confident going into boat races with the spray, but after my mishaps, and I had two mishaps in the third race, which hindered me a lot, and I lost a lot of time to the front lads. But then I was able to gain it back. But fair play to Dylan, who drove very well. I think he gained like a second and a half, 2 seconds just in the last race. So fair play, and being so young, and it just shows you how quick he's going to be in the future.
Yeah, great stuff. Jason, thank you so much for talking to us. Congratulations on your 2 podiums tonight, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon.
Perfect. Thanks very much, guys.
And I'll hand it back to Evan because he'll have Sean McGoldrick to drag in by the scruff of the neck for his third place.
Yeah, Sean, an interesting evening on all accounts for everyone, I think, this evening. There was a lot of chaos in the wet weather. How did you find it out there?
Yeah, it was really chaotic. I can't believe how much spray there is. You're driving into a blind mist at times. Yeah, there were a few mistakes around me. I made a few mistakes, but yeah, really enjoyable races.
In terms of Donington Park, maybe not the easiest track to have sort of a season opener at. There is limited overtaking opportunities at times. We saw a lot of moves into different corners, but in terms of Donington Park and yourself, is it a track you like maybe to start a season at, or would you prefer to go at sort of a wider circuit where you can make more moves happen?
Yeah, it's a track I really like. It's surprisingly slippery in the wet. We saw that with the touring cars a few weeks ago, but yeah, it meant at least it was difficult for Jason to get past at the end of race 3.
And then a podium to round out the evening for yourself. Are you happy with that, or do you think you could have got maybe more? We saw you close to Jason Smith at one point, but Jason just got that little bit ahead, so you couldn't try a move.
Yeah, I think I was 27th in one of the first 2 races at one point, so I was glad to get into the reverse grid and then make it through turn 1. I think I had a little bit of net code with Peter McCann, but I didn't get any 0x's or anything, so I think it must have been net code when he went round. But yeah, I was pretty close with Jason for quite a while. He was really, really fast, and I was staring at the relative, and it was a 10th here, a 10th there, and then eventually he got past, and there was no going back towards Jason. He's just too fast.
Then, oh yeah, sorry. One more thing about the livery.
Yeah, I've got to say thank
Is
you.
there a letter missing?
There are a few letters missing here and there, and a few additional letters here and there. Yeah, I've got to say thank you to Simi. It's an absolutely brilliant livery. It just popped up in my DMs one day, and I absolutely loved it. So thank you, Simi.
And will we be seeing you as an official Potato Nation affiliated driver soon from Lawrence? Because I have noticed the logo on the side.
Yeah, I don't know if there's money involved, but yeah, I'm really happy to run the logo. I watch his streams every week, and yeah, I'm delighted to have the logo on there.
Lawrence, pay the man. You heard it. Sean, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on the podium. We look forward to see what you can do next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, now for myself and Kieran, it's the difficult part of the job, as we say every week. It is Driver of the Day. To add a bit of context to the viewers at home, Peter McCann has nominated himself.
Good. It's a fair system. Now, I think I'm going to put a vote in, and I think I'm going to go for Brian McManus. And here's the reason why. Race 1 finished all the way down in 24th place, I believe it was, and had a bit of trouble there. Race 2, up 17 places to get 7th place. Of course, that got him 2nd place in the reverse grid. And you have to say, he was defending well against some of the top guys there. Yeah, it's not easy to keep the likes of Dylan McClements and Jason Smith around. Had it not been for that final spin, that would have been an absolutely dream way to sign off the evening. And even with that spin, he still finished sixth place. So I'll be honest with you, Brian McManus put in a really solid shift tonight, considering the fact the first race just did not go to plan at all.
I can agree with that. Brian McManus, driver of the day, definitely I think is a deserved accolade for this evening, and he gets the job done. Completely unrelated, no, but I very much like his livery. It's very RTA coded, I suppose. But a fabulous evening altogether. A lot of chaos from all around the grid. We have more brilliant action coming up for you next week, of course, where we head to a slightly different circuit. It is the up and down twisty Algarve International Circuit located in Portimao. Has hosted a couple Portuguese Grand Prix in Formula One. Kieran, it's going to be, I think, pretty chaotic again.
They call it the Portuguese roller coaster, and they don't lie. We expect to see some fantastic racing. It's a circuit that's really good for racing as well. Plenty of high-speed corners, though, so it's going to be an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, that long right-hander to end off the lap, and then you've got the absolute crest over onto the start-finish line. Then you descend down towards turn one. Yeah, roller coaster inbound. Get your hands in the air, because it's Portimao next week.
I very much look forward to seeing what the Doctor can do in terms of dive bombs down towards the hairpin of Tosa. But that's all coming up next week here on Gantry TV, folks. A big thanks for your support so far, but make sure to pop a subscription on the channel if you haven't already, as well as checking out RTA virtualmotorsport.com. There's an endurance series ongoing as well. We barely spoke about that this evening because we had so much action going on, but you can check that out as well. From myself, a big thanks for watching. A big thank you, of course, to Ronan Hederman behind the scenes and Kieran McGinley for joining myself. My name's been Evan Dalton. We're back same time, same place next Tuesday evening. You wouldn't miss it for the word. Have a good week, folks, and slán go fóill.